Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of the Film Biz Show. Now, today we have arguably the most important interview of the season. We are sitting down with Mr. Stephen Beckett, the head of marketing of Fame Week. Now, if you don't know Fame Week, well, you're going to know a whole lot about it today. This is the biggest film market in Africa, and it's taking place from the 1st of September right up until the 7th. Today, we're going to be talking all about it. But before I spill too much of the beans, please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the one and the only Mr. Stephen Beckett. Welcome, Steve.
Welcome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. That's a big intro to make for me, man. Thank you so much for boosting my ego.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. You're the man. Yeah, man. But I'm sure it's just been manic for you. Absolutely crazy. How's the last month been?
Look, it's been interesting. I think it's such an amazing event to work on. It's such a broad audience that we try to reach, even just from a marketing perspective. Trying to get the word out is the challenge. But in the same sense, once people get wind of it, man, catches fire.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, so now this event is actually divided into four sections. You know, MIP Africa, which is the market. We've got the film festival, which happens in the latter part of the week, and then we have Muziki Africa and Fashion Forum. Would you mind just kind of giving us an idea of what these different segments of this huge event actually entail?
Yeah. Look, so Fame Week Africa is obviously the umbrella event, or the umbrella term that obviously consists of a 7-day event, right? The 7-day event consists of MIP Africa, which is the content and the production market, which is an exhibition that happens at the CTICC in Cape Town, and that obviously culminates and really is the event that is focused around the individuals that are behind the scenes a lot. That really focuses on distributors, buyers, sellers, content creators, and the like. And obviously this is really a matchmaking platform as well, and really our idea was to create a space for people to be able to mingle and network with the right people at the right time. This industry is obviously such a hard industry, first of all, to break into, and also to arrange and meet the right people. And what we've done is we've obviously created this space, this 3-day event or 3-day space where people can obviously find these people and schedule meetings with them as well.
Hmm. Interesting.
Right. See, we have the Muziki Africa, which Muziki Africa is the focal point of Muziki Africa is around the music side, and obviously the business side of music. So this is how you get um not just get your brand out there, but how do you become a producer? How do you get into these right spaces and learn from these individuals? That is a 2-day event that also takes place at the CTICC. And then if we look at the African Fashion Forum, that is one of our latest baby, and it's probably one of
So
the new
exciting.
baby that we're very excited about. Look, the fashion industry is very large, and obviously we have such huge creatives within the space on the continent. And what that is designed to do is really to not just give people the platform, but obviously springboard them into how you get to do costume design for Beyonce, for example, or really getting those fashion designers onto those platforms and making those connections, and ultimately then pushing their brands to the pinnacle of success as well.
Okay. Now I'm assuming, with Music Africa, you've got panelists. Do you have are there any organizations that are worth the mention, like Samro or any of these kind of like publishing institutions?
Yeah. Look, it's a big the music side is really
Massive.
pretty massive on the continent, and obviously the associations matter. So we've got a whole host of associations that are involved in this, and not just associations, but also people that have been successful. We've historically had the likes of Zakes Mantwini,
Hmm.
Um,
He
and
was the
obviously,
head of AR, right? Head
yeah,
of A&R Universal. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
and obviously Zeke's being a Grammy Award winner is definitely the right person
Mm,
if you are in that space to learn from and obviously
mm,
grow. Look, Zeke's is so multifaceted now
mm.
that it's not just about music, and obviously, um, being so multi-talented, that's obviously the kind of message you want to be bringing across to people who are also trying to get into that space as well. There's so much more to
Mm.
this, and I think a lot of people want to obviously learn and get involved in the space, and ultimately that's what we're trying to do, man.
Love it. Now, I mean, when it comes to
Mm.
fashion, we've had like wonderful, what's happened within the past decade or even the past 5 years within the
Mm.
fashion space has been just absolutely astonishing. Uh,
Yeah.
Mark is now has a whole store in New York, the heart
Mm.
of the Big Apple,
Yeah.
and brands such as Strip and Batu have been, been making strides. So there's a
Mm.
whole like, I'd say advent of local brands in the fashion space that
Mm.
are really captivating the cultural space in South Africa, but we
Yeah.
aren't really seeing those brands tying into our films. And one of the
Yeah.
biggest conversations we've been having on the show is how do we incorporate marketing from the development phase of the story while you're writing the
Yeah.
story, keeping in mind which partners might come in handy and how you sync that. Do you create sort of like that correlation between the brands and the actual storyteller within these conversations?
Yeah, and look, I totally agree with you, Marcus. I think there's definitely a missing link, and
Mm,
ultimately that's what the African Fashion Forum is about, right? The African Fashion Forum is designed to to ultimately interconnect these spaces. They
mm,
have been historically they've been so segregated or segmented, and nobody's willing to budge because they're either successful in their industry or in their sector of the industry, or they're not successful, and it's such a thin balance between the
either
two, right?
or, yeah.
And yeah, and the if you look at some the success stories, there are way too little success stories
Mm,
compared to the amazing creatives that we have on this continent, and if we look at fashion, for example, if we have 100,000 fashionistas or fashion designers, 10 of them are successful,
mm,
and that for me is such a small margin, and it's almost unfair in that sense. um and that's why we've got such great people on board this year. And look, I think it's such a desirable space for us as a creative nation. But ultimately, this is what it's there to do.
mm,
It's there to push those people forward. If we look at well, look, from a TV perspective, what I'm so in love with is what happened with Shaka last year.
yeah,
If you look at the costume designs from Shaka, those costume designs are so world class.
sure.
But yet, um, and ultimately, then that is what contributed to the success of Shaka, right? And with him filming season two, you can almost see that development and the
Mm,
progression going forward. And then with this year, Queen Majaji is the
yeah.
costumes from Queen Majaji are so
Mm,
insane. And I think it just pays ode to how creative our space is, how
mm,
creative our nation is, how creative this continent is, and that that connection that you're talking about is definitely not there. And what we want to do is make sure that now the all these sectors and the different spheres of the fashion world and TV world can now come together.
mm. I love that because I mean the world is waking up. I mean people are actually noticing how these international brands are also taking. I want to use. I don't want to use the term stealing, but taking a lot of our ideas. I remember seeing a Louis Vuitton a blanket that is exactly like what you find in Lesotho. And you
Yeah.
ask yourself, why aren't we kind of finding new ways of commercializing, so these brands that we have, just innovating and kind of disrupting. So I'm very happy that you're having this platform where you can bring in fashion creatives to say, okay, how do we integrate these ideas that we have into different, kind of like tools and mechanisms of getting it consumed by our audiences. Very
Yeah.
important.
Look, I think you use such a good example with
Mm.
with the
Ish.
blankets, and I think,
Mm.
look, it's ultimately something we need to be copywriting, and copywriting in the fashion world is one of the topics that will be discussed as well at the fashion forum, and obviously making sure that people learn on how to market that and how to get it out there. I think we definitely don't lack creativity.
Mm-mm.
We do maybe lack a bit of understanding and a bit of reach in terms of how we get those brands out there, and that is something we'll definitely be touching on at
Mm.
the fashion forums. Yeah.
I love that because I mean, when you think about it, it's the actual copyright that that puts your name in the halls of history to say whether or not you created
Yeah.
this or not. You know,
Mm.
it doesn't matter. So I'm very happy that you guys are doing that initiative. I can't wait for us to cover that. But the last prong, the last pillar of this wonderful week that's filled with activities is the festival, the film festival.
Yeah.
You mind just explaining more to us about how that's going to work?
Look, so the Fame Short Film Festival is in its second year. Look, it's still one of our babies. It's my favorite baby, um, purely because look, there's so many different stories, man. So many different narratives, so many different sections of this film industry. But short film being my one of my favorites, right? And I think what we've done is we've designed a platform, obviously for short films to be to get the exposure that it needs and deserves. This year we put a call out for these films, and we received just over 200 applications
Sure.
and films, and unfortunately for us, we had to narrow it down to 30 to just over 30 films. And look, it's such a hard process to have to whittle the creativity down. But ultimately, what we did is we've designed a program, a 4-day program, which will take place at the Labia in Cape Town, and that'll take place between the 4th and the 7th. So the last bit of Fame Week Africa, which is gonna be at the Labia in Cape Town. We do what I'm most excited about, right, is actually how we've sectioned the creativity out, right? So we've broken them up into 4 different themes.
Mhm.
Um, Day one being drifting, which is on the Wednesday. The Thursday will be entitled Growing Pains. Friday will be love stories, and then Saturday will be past echoes. So
Mhm.
what we've done is we've obviously sectioned and grouped and almost genred each of the films into 4 different days. And yeah, man, I think the films that were selected are of top quality, and what we are looking at is obviously getting those stories captured and sold out, and making sure that the creatives get their voices heard.
Wonderful, man. And where did you source most of these? I saw there's a nice mixture of African, creatives,
Mm.
filmmakers, and we got about 8 South African filmmakers, I think, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Yeah.
yeah. So just under 10 South African.
Mm.
Look, when you put the call out, it initially always starts with the host country,
Mm.
obviously, just because our voice is louder in South Africa, but it branched out to Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, and pretty much we pretty much touched on every country within the continent, and
Mm.
even some that were outside of South Africa, or sorry, outside of Africa, but with the story, ultimately the narrative had to be African. The story had to have an African narrative, and that obviously increased the reach of where the messaging came from. Um, but yeah, the emphasis was to make sure that the stories had African narrative, because we believe that the African narrative and the stories need to be told and heard.
Okay, very interesting, man. I think this is going to be a real game changer.
Mm,
And because the problem is, as filmmakers in South Africa, at times there's a sense of feeling isolated, and you're kind of creating stories that are just a microcosm of the communities that are around us. But
mm,
one critique we often hear is, South African filmmakers are too local in their thinking you
yeah.
know and I think this festival is going to kind of broaden the horizon of the filmmakers to say, hey, you actually are part of a bigger conversation. Because when someone outside of the continent sees you, they sees you a part of they see you as a part of a whole, an African
Mm.
filmmaker, not so much, a part of this small corner. So maybe it will just kind of, open up some creativity to say, how do we blend in these different cultures, to be able to tell stories that represent us as a collective.
Yeah. Look, I think the African narrative ultimately is so diverse. Um,
Mm,
and there's so many different stories to tell. There's so many different messages to bring across. But the best part is that they're all so interconnected at the same time. As
mm,
diverse as they are, they ultimately still interconnected with that very African narrative. We are we are an amazing bunch of people, man. We are, well, how do I say, like we're very creative. We're definitely creative. If you look,
mm,
if you see the short films that were selected, it's so diverse,
mm,
so how does that so creative,
mm.
and that's exactly what the space is about, man. We want to make sure that people get heard, and those stories ultimately reach the right ears.
So exciting. Stephen, do you mind mentioning to us some of the other partners that you might have that will be coming that people should be looking out for?
Yeah. So this year, we have the Nigeria, which is our host country,
Awesome.
and they're going to be bringing a lot of the success of Nollywood to the event. And obviously they're very big partners of ours, and we want to make sure that, look, Fame Week Africa may be based in Cape Town, but it
Mm,
is Fame Week Africa, and
yeah.
ultimately bring in that African story. With this year's focus being Nigeria, MultiChoice is once again on board from a production perspective, and they obviously looking at funding and getting those stories that'll be told and heard there. They're also making sure that they listening and hearing the voices of the continent as well, with their broad reach. Look, MultiChoice's reach expands further than just South Africa, and obviously into Africa. We have Prime Media on board as well. They obviously huge in the space as well. Um, but look, there's so many different partners and so many different players in this game, and I think you have to be there, man.
Mm,
I know we spoke off air about what it was like when you attended the event, and
yeah.
there's so
Mm.
much to take in, and look, if you're not there, you're definitely missing out, and
Yeah.
ultimately, the city of, and I forgot to mention that the city of Cape Town is also on board. Look, the city of Cape Town is
Fantastic.
really, they're really, really amazing in this, in the sense that they're willing to invest in this, and with the sports and the Minister of Sports and Arts and Culture being so
Oh,
actively involved in giving people the opportunity and the space,
mm,
that is why the city of Cape Town have also come on board. We have representatives from the city of Durban, KZN, the province of KZN, Eastern Cape, Gauteng as well. So you can see from a country perspective and a political perspective, they're all on board and they all want
mm.
to invest in the space. And whether you're in Cape Town or not, or based in Cape Town or not, this is something you definitely want to get involved in, because ultimately this is how we start the fire of your creative dream, man.
Yeah, man, this is going to be something that's just mind blowing for us. I mean, we were just kind of sharing ideas, to get a sense of how exactly this thing will be tackled for as a media partner, going
Yeah.
into that space. And we are aware that there are three venues that will be, kind of where everything will be happening within the first 3 days, which is obviously the Theater One, Theater Two, and the other venue is
Is the brain box.
okay. So
Yeah.
so just to give our audience members an idea of those who will be coming, what's the proximity of these kind of two theaters in the Brain Box, and how can they navigate the space? How easy is it?
To navigate the space will be simple enough. Whether or not you can split yourself into three
Mm.
different
Mm.
sets of ears and eyes
Mm.
is your challenge. Look, our program is pretty intense, and I mean that with the amount of areas you try and cover within this industry and this field. There's so much happening, and
Mm.
you have to you almost look the best part of it is that it is recorded, so you can almost watch the stuff that you miss out on, but you have to almost pick and choose your faves and make sure you attend those. I know, as we spoke of, Steve Harvey's definitely one
Yeah.
touch
Ooh.
point on the Monday,
Mm.
and with his investment in Botswana.
Yeah.
Uh, and the one interesting thing about Steve Harvey that I found out was how he actually makes more money from producing than he does he makes more money from behind than he would from
In
in front of
front.
the camera.
Mm.
Uh, and ultimately everybody knows him as the guy that's in front of the camera, right? And
Mm.
the comedian and the host. But he's obviously so successful behind the camera. But just coming back to the theaters,
Mm.
it is close. They are pretty close in proximity in
Mm.
terms of they're all in the same general space at the CTICC. But whether or not you'll be able to watch everything or listen to everything is will pretty much be impossible. But what we have designed is different spaces. We've created a few like the theater versus the brain box.
Yeah.
The theaters are more sitting conversational type, whereas the brain box is very hands-on masterclass type of style. And obviously with the event is not just about listening and taking notes, but it's also about getting that creative juice flowing and starting to do stuff, and more of that one-on-one space, and into finding out how certain people have become successful in certain spaces and in certain creatives, and you being able to have those one-on-one conversations with them in a smaller environment as well.
Okay. Now, as we all know, the Rockefeller is the official accommodation partner,
Yeah.
which is a wonderful, wonderful hotel that it's literally going to be home away from home for
Yeah.
most of the delegates, and the guests will be there. But at this stage, it is sold out. It is full. It is quite packed, as we are aware.
Yeah.
But what other accommodation options could you give to some of our audience members who want to come there, especially places that are close, that you would kind of
Mm.
just recommend to say, hey guys, take a look at this place. I think it might be best suited for you.
Yeah. Look, we made sure that the Rockefeller will be rocking. Look, if we
Show
if
me what you got. Yeah.
and
Uh,
obviously there's so many things that the Rockefeller has to offer in terms of their space. They're great partners of ours.
oh,
They have been for a few years as well. We will be hosting on Nollywood Nights there on the Sunday on the 1st of
wonderful.
September.
Mm,
And that'll obviously be a celebration of Nigeria being our host country. But yeah, there are a few other partners we have, like the AC Hotel in Cape Town, the Radisson Red, as well as the Southern Sun at the waterfront. If you just head over to our web page, we have a venue and travel section, which really focuses on our travel and venue partners and what they have to offer delegates as well. Obviously, we understand that traveling is expensive, and that's why we've made sure we all of these partners of ours, like the SAA for flights, have come on board just to be able to loosen your pocket a little bit, because we obviously understand that the climate is very tight, and obviously the rand being where it is. Um, but yeah, we definitely have everybody on board, and there's so much more to it than just our convention, man. We want to make sure we look after the people as well.
which is a very important element to it. You did mention the support that you got from the city.
Mm.
We did see that also one of the partners is Cape Town TV, which is coming on
Mm.
board. What other initiatives have you found in terms of support that you've from the local government that they've stretched out their hand to the event?
Yep. Look, the city of Cape Town are really good friends, and we haven't just um chosen the the Cape Town as a host just to be there. Look, so the city of Cape Town is beautiful,
World
and is
class.
obviously such a it's
Oh, I
it's
love
such a
it.
beautiful film venue
Mm,
as well. Look, there's so much about it that, and there's so many films in Cape Town that you wouldn't even know were shot in Cape Town because of the high quality and the high stature that Cape Town has. So they're definitely on board. They've really come to the party in terms of their support, but also in terms of the connections that they've given us and just the film industry in general. Um, if we look at further partners, we've obviously have all the associations on board as well. So they on the Film Cape Town, not just the city of Cape Town, but Film Cape Town are also on board as partners. We have the likes of AFTA, who's our educational partner, and look, we also big on investing in youth and because what we have found and the need that we've obviously seen and heard from after is that it's great to have the head knowledge within this industry, and obviously studying further is something we'll always promote and something I have to always promote, but it's bridging that gap from once you've qualified to then getting into the industry. You can find yourself drowning in this industry, and what we want to do is make sure that students obviously find and make these connections before they've even qualified already. And if you have qualified, we can still put you in that space as well. Because we do find that making those connections and finding the right people in the right industries at the right time isn't as easy as it may seem.
mm. I love that. You know, when I was at MIP Africa, I think 2 years ago, I met a wonderful gentleman. He's a producer from LA, based in Cape Town, and who subsequently became my mentor. And he was mentioning one thing he's noticed about the industry within South Africa is that it's very clicky, and there isn't much
Mm.
of a process or a system of incorporating young talent within sort of like these circles. So I love the
Yeah.
fact that you've actually kind of, made it an effort to partner with these educational institutions to say, how about these students come in and the conversations can start?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, what we have found is that there's even intern opportunities available for them. We have quite a few success stories over the years of students making it into that space because of the connections they've made. And look, it's never going to be an easy industry to get into. Ultimately, that's not what it's about. And us being able to give a student those kind of springboards into their careers is something that we really cherish. And especially if we look at if we look at our CSI partner, ICASI creates such a great platform for people within the space, and we then ultimately give the springboard for that platform. And
Mm.
people with uh, prior learnings that weren't recognized are now getting recognized for the qualities that they have brought to the industry as well.
Wonderful, man. Do you mind just telling us a bit about your CSI program and how it was kind of like rolled out within this, the whole year leading up to the
Yeah.
actual event? Yeah.
Look, man, Ikasi is doing such a great job for the industry, and what we done was we obviously see the need, and the great job that Ikasi do for underprivileged societies and underprivileged people within the space, is something that we also passionate about. We don't just randomly choose our CSIs. We obviously just we look at the heart of things from a MIP perspective. Ikasi is our CSI, and then we have um, for Muziki we do have Bridges Academy, which is Bridges for Music, and that really looks at creating the platforms for underprivileged communities who have the creative space within music, that is both in front of and behind stage, and then a very interesting and exciting CSI partner for me this year is
Mm-hmm.
definitely our two newbies, which is the Free Film School, which is
Mm-hmm.
also based in Cape Town as well. They obviously create and give the space for creatives within that are in the film space. And also Sandcob, man. Sandcob saves they are obviously looking at saving seabirds. You might not understand where the space comes from, but that is actually the African penguin. Is one of
Mm.
their major initiatives in saving.
Which is
Obviously
indigenous.
with oil,
It's
yeah,
so it's
it's
what do they
obviously
call
indigenous,
it?
yeah.
Not indigenous. Sorry,
It's
it's
endangered,
endangered.
endangered.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Mm.
endangered. And
Mm.
obviously, they recently had a major oil spill just offshore,
Oh
and
no.
those kind of things obviously affect the wildlife within the region. And what Sandcom does is such a great job there. And where we saw the tie in this year was also with the short film festival. And the
Mm.
mascot for the mascot for the Fame Short Film Festival is
It's the
actually the African
penguin.
penguin.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Okay, that's really cool.
And we've tied
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah.
What I think is so creative this year is that
Mm.
how we've tied them in. So Sandcop being the CSI, we've actually, and then the African penguin being the mascot for the short film festival, right? We've also tied that in with an amazing individual who creates um artwork from recycled and uh, picked up refuge
Mm.
on beaches, which are made from flip flops. So like flip
Oh.
flops that are picked up, and ultimately those are things that if affect the wildlife,
Mm.
which is affecting the growth and the life of the African penguin in too. And what we've done was we've got him to create the awards for the short film festival will be African penguins created from those recycled flip flops.
Oh my
So they
goodness, this
ultimately
is
tie in. It ties in so
yeah,
well
yeah.
with just with the narrative as well. Look, we
That's
big
so
on
cool.
sustainability and obviously creativity and obviously ultimately saving wildlife as well.
Yeah, man. And I've noticed also some of your smaller partners also what you're trying to do is just push sustainability of the environment, which is so important in global conversation that's happening right
Mm.
now. If you do have a
Even
picture,
in the
yeah.
production space as well.
Mm,
Look,
mm.
even in the production space, like a lot of what is the talk of the town in terms of the sustainability of film sets. What happens to film sets um
Oh
in
man.
once films are
Mm.
done, they end up on landfills and ultimately contributing to the pollution. And that is also something that we're very passionate about, and we're very strategic with our partners. We don't just want people on board that are willing to throw money at us. We have to be strategic in how we place the brand, and we also want to make sure that the right people are on board with us as well.
This is so exciting. Stephen, if you do have a picture of the trophy for the festival, please send it to us so we can
Yeah.
see it.
What I'm gonna
Yeah.
do is I'm gonna shoot you. I'll shoot you the festival poster.
Awesome.
Um,
We are certainly looking forward to this year's installment of MIP Africa. I think it's
yeah,
going to be a game changer. There's so many things that are happening within the space. This is a business that's constantly changing, and if you're not on the tip of the pulse, you might just miss a beat or two. And I
yeah,
think this year's event is going to educate a lot of people, create many networks, and exposure to what South Africa has to offer as a film destination. So we are so excited to be a media partner as a team. We really feel honored to be partnering with such an institution. And this event is going to be something that we're definitely going to give our 100% and more to. So thank you so
yeah.
much for agreeing to the partnership, Stephen.
Awesome, man. We love the film buzz, man, and we obviously follow, and
Yeah,
we've been watching you for a while,
awesome.
and I know you definitely you're shaking up, and
Yeah,
you're giving the industry the voice that it deserves as well.
yeah. No, thank you so much, Stephen. So yeah, man, that's the tail end of our conversation. We really
Yeah,
just, as you take part in these next 3 weeks. We just want to send you all the strength We know that it is such a stressful time. Remember to breathe. Take a walk when you can, because this is the craziest part. But our hearts are with you, and we want to salute you for this past 12 months that you've put in. You know, you fought the war, and you're going to get the results, and it's going to be a big success.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Marcus, look, it's not about us. Ultimately, it's about the voices being heard and giving people the opportunity that they need, and creating that platform. Man, we just wanna hear success story after success story after success story, and ultimately that's the heartbeat of Fame Week Africa as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Stephen. Talk soon.
Sweet.
You name it, they've got it. If you ain't here, you are missing out. May the FOMO be with you.
I tell you that our industry is going to grow and everybody must watch out. So we are here, we're enjoying Fame Week.
An event like this is so important because it's direct, it's personal, it's intimate, but it's also on such a large scale. I love it.
And that, guys, is Fame Week Africa, which will be taking place from the 1st of September to the 7th of September. The biggest film market in Africa is happening right here on our soil. Cape Town, that is, and that conversation was with the marketing head, Mr. Stephen Beckett. Please do look out for more content that will be coming from us, and we will be broadcasting live all the way from Cape Town, so you guys can get a sense of what is happening in this fun-filled week of so much activities, being Fame Week Africa, MIP Africa to be exact. Please do join us on the journey.